Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Yeah, you aim. Yeah, we'll start over. Yeah, email me your questions and comments. God. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm glad to see a Friday roll around, and I'm also glad to see a Friday that looks sort of like it might belong in May. But what the hell? I hope you'll have an opportunity to enjoy it. Lots to talk about today. Trump's been making his appointments. But before we go there, I just want to say that the Pittsburgh Rooster, the Hill District Rooster, made it to the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. Yay! So everybody all over the country now, and even in other countries, are having, and this bird deserves a parade, because he is a source of wonderful entertainment and distraction in a time when, it's a great public service, Rudy. God, I love this bird. So let me share the Wall Street Journal's piece, because it does have new information on Rudy. First of all, it turns out that the guy in St. Louis who volunteered to come up here and catch Rudy, because he's a person who, for some reason, has a deep affinity for chickens. Not eating them, but saving them. And so Frank Cantone is, as I speak, in his car, driving 600 miles from St. Louis to the Hill District. He's got his two young daughters with him. They're like 10 and 8, I believe. And he thinks it'll be an interesting weekend for them, so he's very excited in general. I guess hasn't been to Pittsburgh before. And he has promised to do what nobody else has been able to do, which is corral Rudy. Although I like the guy in town who I guess lives next door, who calls him Shaft. Because that does seem like a bet. He gets Shaft because he's a what do you say? He's a bad dude. He's a bad mother. That's what he said, right? Because Rudy is a bad mother. Love it. So, there's a lot more information in here that I got before. So, Rudy is, you can see him, by the way. He's at the corner of Wiley, and Wiley isn't just occurred to me. What a great place for Rudy to be. Because he is wily. He has evaded capture. Animal control couldn't get him. Everybody has looked like the Keystone Cops going after the wily Rooster of Wiley Avenue. So he's at the corner of Wiley and Robert in the Hill. And people say they see him on the street. They see him, on the sidewalk. He's no idiot. He visits people's garages. A lot of the people over there, they give him sandwiches, peanuts. They feed him. He's a neighborhood. This is also absurd. And you know who caused the problem? A woman. It's always a woman who causes the problem. A woman named Roberta Bullock. Now, Roberta spent 18 years as a tax investigator for the city of Pittsburgh, and then decided after 18 years that she was sick and tired of all the numbers and wanted something different. So Roberta Bullock, after 18 years as a Pittsburgh tax investigator, decided to switch to being a city inspector. And she ended up citing the guy who is in trouble for supposedly owning Rudy when he insists he doesn't own Rudy. Rudy just showed up, okay? But she initiated all of this because there was a complaint of overgrown weeds. And she went and she cited the guy for overgrown weeds, but while she was there, Rudy made a big mistake. He cock-a-doodle-dooed. And Bullock's ears pricked up, and she said, "What is that? A rooster?" And she starts talking to people who live around there and asking if the rooster was bothering any of them. It's not like anyone made a complaint. And people said, "Yeah, he wakes me up at 4 a.m, blah, blah, blah." She saw Rudy. She said he came out from under a bush with a groundhog. Love this bird. I love this bird. He has a groundhog friend. And, here's a woman who lives nearby, Sharon Hughes. He's woken her up a lot of times. But she believes that, she's quoted in the Wall Street Journal as saying, he doesn't know he's annoying people. She thinks he'd be better off probably with other roosters who would help him to understand that he's only supposed to cock-a-doodle-doo at sunrise instead of at 2 a.m., 2 p.m., whenever. He just gets an urge. So this Bullock woman cited Rudy's supposed owner for his overgrown weeds, and then she cited him for having a rooster, which he says, "I don't. He just showed up in my damn yard." But there is a section of the city code. It's 912.07. And that is where the violation is occurring, because it says chickens, ducks, goats, and honeybees are permitted in the city under certain conditions. Roosters are prohibited unconditionally. Did you know that? That this is it's not very welcoming. Roosters are absolutely forbidden in the city limits, and it's not clear why. So the guess is because they supposedly cock-a-doodle-doo, I guess. They make too much noise. So a lot of people have tried to corral him. As I said, animal control hasn't been able to. Even an assistant city solicitor, get this, that'd be a lawyer for the city. A lawyer for the city named Adam Rosenthal decided, I bet I can catch the damn bird. So he goes over there. He normally just handles building permit infractions, but he stopped by Wiley Avenue looking for Rudy, and along with another inspector. And they saw Rudy. You see him. There's no problem in locating him. You just can't catch him. And this city solicitor, Adam Rosenthal, said, "We thought we were smarter than him." We weren't. So anyway, here's what the guy from St. Louis who's coming up here doing today. This is his plan. It's a 3-step plan. First, the obvious. Food. He's going to scatter a mix of chicken feed and sunflower seeds on the ground, and also have some in his hand, a gloved hand. And if then Rudy approaches to eat the stuff from his hand, he will obviously then grab him. If that fails, and I will predict right now it will, because Rudy is wily, then he's going to employ the 2 young daughters he brought along. And he's going to have his daughters create a distraction with the rooster. Isn't this great? So he's going to have his daughters do stuff so the rooster is looking at his daughters, and then he's going to sneak up behind him and grab Rudy. And if that doesn't work, plan C is wait until dark because roosters have bad night vision and they can't see you coming. Now, it is known that Rudy spends his nights in a tree to avoid predators, like the guy from St. Louis. So the guy from St. Louis is bringing a ladder. And he's going to climb the tree or get as close as he can. And he said if his ladder is not high enough, if Rudy is way up in the tree, he has already gotten the Pittsburgh Fire Department station nearby to make its ladder available. And the guy, this Canton guy from St. Louis, says, I'm not leaving town without him. Oh, I love this story. I love this story. But, and here's another funny little tidbit. So the judge who's been overseeing the case, and in fact is the guy that the St. Louis guy contacted, Judge Oscar Petit, turns out he lives a block away from where Rudy is roosting. And the judge has a dog named Satchmo. And the judge and Satchmo regularly walk in the neighborhood. The judge has seen the rooster. He's seen him. Satchmo's seen him. And he said Satchmo, when he first saw him, Satchmo's a boxer. So Satchmo used to freeze and stare at Rudy. And now the judge says he doesn't even pay attention to him anymore, which is how visible the rooster is. I love this. I love this. How many of you are rooting for Rudy not to be caught? I don't know. Am I?
What would they do?
No, I don't know. Oh, he'll go home. He'll be he'll find himself in a nice situation if they catch him. But there's something so heroic about him. So it appeals to the, it's like he's an outlaw. We love outlaws. Don't we? America loves an outlaw. So here it is. Rudy, although as some of us like to call him, Shaft. I might have to watch local television news this weekend. Or maybe just grab a little folding chair and head on down to the hill to Wiley Avenue and just spectate. So, I love that. It's so good to laugh. Oh, God, is it good to laugh. But enough of that. So I got an email from somebody, and I want to share it with you because I think I need to talk about this a little. He says, Lynn, I agree with many of your positions. Loved you on WTAE radio. Man, that goes back a long way. But now you are very depressing. Your obsession with this election is not healthy. I liked the old Lynn. Well, I need to, I think, respond to this because I'm sure this guy is not alone. And I also know that some of you appreciate the fact that I'm, as he says, obsessed with this election. And I'm not going to take a call right now just because I want to try to explain where I'm coming from here. And I'm welcome to your input, but I have said, I hope at some point in a if not eloquent, at least coherent way, that I consider this president-elect and an awful lot of the people in his inner circle, perhaps all of them, I guess, I consider them dangerous people. Dangerous to the very idea of the continuation of the United States of America as a representative democracy. I consider this not a normal election nor a normal outcome. I don't think there's anything normal about this. We, to use a phrase I never use, we have jumped the shark here. And so I think that to treat this as if it's normal, or as people say, give them a chance, is irresponsible. I have always felt that having this mic available to me brings with it the responsibility to try to inform. Now, granted, this is an opinion show. I am here giving my opinion. But I think in many respects, my opinion is well informed. I think that this is a potentially game-changing time in the history of this country and even in global history. This is one of those moments that if you live in it, I think you are obliged to note it, to not be a bystander, but to be an active participant in resistance to it. I consider myself a member of the resistance. I love my country. I am worried as hell for its future. I am a serious person. If being a serious person right now means I'm depressing, I'm sorry. And if that's not what you want to listen to, if you want to be happy, not depressed, then I guess goodbye. Not that there won't be laughs here, not that I'm not going to completely, we just did 15 minutes on a friggin' rooster. But now is the time for people to make a stand, I think. And my stand is one of opposition and resistance. And it is based on valued principles that I hold dear, including the Constitution of the United States. So, guys, that's the way it's going to be here. I'm not... The one thing I've always been in my decades talking to folks is I've been honest with you. I'm not somebody who takes this mic and sees it as just an entertainment medium, so I will do anything I want. There are people who have talk shows or podcasts who do that. I feel, maybe because I had a journalism degree, I feel, as I said, a real responsibility. I'm not a big player, but if history ever notes me, even in a little footnote somewhere, I want to be on the right side. And I do not want to be one of the people who said, I didn't think it would. I didn't know. I didn't, right? I don't want to be that person. So that's my response to the person who emailed me thusly. And, bye. If he can't listen anymore, that's fine. He didn't threaten not to listen, but I get the impression. And I got to tell you, that old Lynn you liked, that's me. I'm still Lynn. And if you liked her, the old Lynn you're remembering, through the haze of your nostalgic cherry picking of what my shows have been in the past, then I assure you, I'm the same person that you used to love. I'm older, and I think I'm wiser. But if Trump and Bannon and these guys happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was at WTAE, where you liked me, I can assure you, you would be listening to the same thing that you're hearing now coming from me. That's all I want to say. I feel a responsibility, not to depress you. I feel a responsibility to, as I said, stand unequivocally in opposition and resistance to these vulgarians and these dangerous men who flirt with fascism. I know history just a little bit too well to think that this is just another election outcome. And that brings me to an obit I just want to share with you. This is a remarkable woman who actually was in Pittsburgh maybe about 10 years ago. And she spoke at Pitt. And at the time, I think she had to have been 90. Please, guys, just let me talk for a while. I'll open it up for calls in a bit. Just let me talk. I gotta. I'll as soon as I get done, I guess, with this obit, then come on in. The obit is of a woman who died at the age of 105. And when she came here, she then was in her 90s, and she gave a speech here. This woman was a remarkable human being. And the reason I want to tell you about her is she was a woman who was not a bystander to history. She was a woman who spoke, and let me find her words rather than babble here. Here it is. And this is actually something from the speech at the University of Pittsburgh. I had two tools to fight injustice. Words, I got those, and images. Those I don't. She was a photojournalist and also a reporter. She did it all. She was brilliant. Her name is Ruth Gruber. She was brilliant and courageous as hell. And she recognized in the early stages of Hitler's rise what was happening. And she said this: I am in the thick of an historic moment. I am in an era in the making. And she felt it her responsibility and her duty to bear witness. She worked for tons of publications, most New York newspapers at one time or another. She was born in Brooklyn in 1911 to immigrants, Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. She graduated, got her college degree from NYU at the age of 18. She then goes on to the University of Wisconsin and gets a master's degree in German in 1 year. She's got her master's at 19. Then off she goes to the University of Cologne in Germany and gets a doctorate by the age of 20. Okay? A feat which has never had happened before and has not happened since. And so she's in Germany, she's fluent in German, she's a young woman, and she sees what's going on. She travels across that country and sees the festering anti-Semitism. She sees Hitler speak. All of this she catalogs. And in all of this, she tries to educate, inform people of what is happening. In 1944, she took on a secret mission at the behest of President Roosevelt. She went back to Germany, and I don't know if it was Germany, couldn't have been Germany. She ended up bringing a boatload of almost 1,000 refugees into the United States. The president was doing something illegal in doing that. He was making an end run. He was trying to save about 1,000 Jews. I'm looking at a picture that she took of some of the people on the boat that she brought over, and they're all men. They were scientists. They were brilliant people who were going to be killed, who had thus far somehow eluded capture. And at the behest of FDR, she grabbed him. They ran a U-boat gauntlet to get back to this country. And when I said the president was breaking the law, it was because our Congress and our State Department had put quotas on how many Jews could be let in. Substitute Syrian refugees for that, okay? It was the same kind of racist hate that was going on in the United States that prevented us from rescuing all those desperate Jews. We turned boats away. I've told you that before. But the president wanted this boat in because these were people who he wanted to serve us. Then she finds herself in Jerusalem in 1947, 3 years later. And she was covering a United Nations conference that was there. And she hears that a boat, a steamer boat, that had been refitted by the paramilitary group Haganah as a transport for Jewish immigrants and had been renamed the Exodus, had been intercepted in the harbor at Haifa. '47, so Think about that. Anybody on that boat had somehow survived. It was a boat filled with survivors of the Holocaust. Still totally traumatized. That boat, the Exodus, was filled with, packed to the gills with 4,500 desperate refugees, many of them orphans, children, desperate to get somewhere where they could live instead of be killed. Now, if what I am saying is not setting off bells in your head about stuff going on right now, that ship, as you know, did not make it. The British, who had authority of what was then called Palestine, the British attacked that boat, killed some people, injured many others, people who had survived the Holocaust. And they turned that boat around and sent it back to Germany. And the people that were on that boat had to get off and go back behind barbed wire. They were put in, essentially, concentration camps again. Incredibly, the world reacted. And in part because Ruth Gruber followed that boat and took pictures of these people who had been herded back behind barbed wire when they had been within eyeshot of their promised land. The world all of a sudden was horrified. The British were embarrassed. And a lot of it helped pave the way for the birth of the nation of Israel the next year, 1948. And most of those poor Jews who had survived the concentration camps, survived the Exodus, survived the re-internment in Germany, did eventually make it to the promised land. A lot of it Ruth Gruber could be credited with. She wrote the first book about the Exodus. She wrote it in 1948. And then, of course, a lot of other people jumped on it. And Leon Uris wrote the novel Exodus. And then Otto Preminger did the film Exodus that starred Paul Newman. Ruth Gruber, extraordinary woman. Dead at the age of 105. Who lived a life worth living. And lived a life in which she saved other lives. Ruth Gruber, who will be on the right side of history, who is and was. And it is people like her who I want to emulate in my little way. So if you find the reality that I'm talking about depressing, as I'm sure people who looked at her photos and read her stories found it depressing, then I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for talking about reality and the dangers that are lurking dangers to us all. Okay, I'm done. I just had to. I got other things to say too, but I will take calls now if anybody wants to talk. Aaron gave me this. He said this helped him. It is from a rabbi, and it was retweeted by Amy Sedaris. And as you know, Jews, when somebody dies, who they sit Shiva for 7 days. They sit and they grieve, and people come and sit with them and pray and blah and that. And to me, it's a wonderful thing. Anyway, this rabbi said this, and Amy Sedaris saw fit too. Today marks the 7th day of grieving and sitting Shiva for the loss of our country. As Judaism teaches us, after 7 days of Shiva, we stand up. We emerge from the dark. We do not have to accept, we do not have to move on, but we stand up. So today we emerge from the darkness. We are taught that the righteous do not complain of the darkness, but rather they create light. Today we begin to create light, and we do so as the resistance and we fight and fight and fight for good, for love, and for justice. That's Rabbi Joel Simons. And we have a call. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn. Sorry to interrupt. A long-time listener, love the show. You're an asset to the community. I wanted to know if you could comment on this. I heard that Bob Dylan is not attending the Nobel Peace ceremony because he's working on a concept album called The Ballad of Rudy the Rooster. He's very wise.
He's very the wily bird of Wiley Avenue.
No, I suspect, I don't know if they mentioned this, but I suspect they don't want roosters in the city because of cockfighting. Is that possible?
Maybe.
Not that Rudy would engage in such a thing.
No, he's above all that, but that might have been the reason.
The original.
Because people, I don't know, if you can keep chickens, it only makes sense to have a rooster around.
I know people that in not only this city, but in urban areas all around the country now are starting to keep chickens.
Yeah.
Even if, they have a small city backyard.
Right.
And eating
right.
their own eggs. So anyway, sorry to interrupt. And,
that's okay.
keep railing against that dark night. You know that we really count on you doing what you do, and I don't find it depressing at all. I think it gives us a sense of community and a sense that we're not alone. And so I hope it doesn't take too much of a toll on your health, but keep it up, girl.
Thank you. Love you.
Lynn Miller. See
okay.
You later. Bye.
Bye. Well, I think what the rabbi says it all. You grieve, and then you stand up. And you don't have to move on. You have to stand up, not complain of the darkness, but create light. And my doing what I do is my only way that I know of how to create light. All right, so we do know that Trump has made some big appointments, and they do not in any way reassure. Not at all. Senator Jeff Sessions as Attorney General is mind-blowing. Jeff Sessions is one of those guys. First of all, he is so much of a Southern Confederate lover. He probably sleeps with sheets with the stars and bars on him. Jeff Sessions is an unabashed racist, always has been. And as you, I'm sure, know, he was put up for a federal judgeship when? Is that in the 70s or 80s? 80s, maybe. When there was a Republican Congress. And a Republican Congress refused him the judgeship. They said, no, you can't put someone like him on a court. He's a racist. Well, welcome to our time. Now you can put someone like him not in a court, but literally the chief attorney of the entire nation, overseeing what we call the Justice Department. And do you think this Republican Senate will stand up like the one did 20-some years ago? Do you? Jack writes, welcome to 1955. Maybe we can resegregate the schools. Good Lord. Minority rights are or will be gone. This is true doom and gloom for those that the law should protect. I am feeling especially concerned for the security and safety of Muslim Americans. With his additional appointment of General, why am I blanking on his name? It's like I keep trying to, General Flynn. Oh, God. General Flynn as his national security advisor. General Flynn he's a tweeter too, by the way. He has tweeted recently, fear of Muslims is rational. I just want to say this. Did you note, am I the only one who've noticed that a lot of cops have been killed in the last 2-3 weeks? I think it's something like 11. It's a rash of cop killings, including one right here in Canonsburg. And I just want to point something else out. Every one of those cops was killed by a white male. Every one of those white males survived the encounter, were not killed. One killed himself, and that was the one here. So if you're a white male, you can kill cops and live. And do we say that fear of white males is rational? Do we? No, we think fear of black males is rational. We are a deeply racist people. If 11 or so cops, and I'm not sure what exactly the number is, had been killed in a 2 to 3 week period and had been killed by black men, do you think that would be a huge story? Do you think the reaction of what we now understand is white America resurgent would have been frightening, actually? And do you think that any of those cop killers, if they'd been black males, would be alive to stand trial? I don't think so. And now we're going to have Jeff Sessions as the Attorney General of the United States? Good God. And we're going to have General Flynn safeguarding us by calling all fear of Muslims rational? He also says that Sharia law is spreading in the United States. He is delusional. Need I mention, he's also an anti-Semite. The number of anti-Semites that Trump is putting in important positions should make any Jew take notice. Now, this ain't Germany. They ain't going to come for the Jews first. We can see that. They're going for the Muslims first. And I just want to say to any Jew, if you think the Jews ain't right behind, you're out of your fucking mind. Okay? Just saying. Just saying. So I want to find this other tweet that are now, I guess, going to be our head of national security said. Please, let me have it here. No, I don't. God damn it. In regard to the cops, it's in the last 11 days, 9 police officers in this country have been killed. That's almost one a day. And all the killers were white men. All but one of the white killers lived. And the one who didn't was not shot by the cops. He shot himself. And there's not been a word from the usual sources like Blue Lives Matter about the war on police. But let one cop die at the hand of a black man. Did you also see this? The Russian parliament, when it was announced that Donald Trump had won the U.S. presidency, the Russian parliament spontaneously burst into cheers and applause. Did you know that? No, I wish I could find the thing he said. He said something about no Jews, no more. It was some kind of just blatant anti-Semitism. And that's from General Flynn. So we got Jeff Sessions, we got General Flynn, we got Steve Bannon. We are living in a pre-fascist America. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello, Lynn.
Yeah.
Anybody that's not obsessed with this fucking election, they're in denial.
Right.
Honest to God, I mean, you could predict, I bet you could see the writing on the wall. More fucking wars, a recession coming, civil rights will be thrown back. All this stuff's going to happen. Don't be in denial. It's all the players are in place, and it's going to. And then when they cut Medicare and Social Security, I hope the fucking hurts all the bastards out there that voted for the fucker, because they're going to feel the pain too. Let's make everybody feel the pain, and then maybe they will not to vote this knucklehead in. The guy's an asshole from the beginning. He is an undeserving piece of shit. That he does not deserve to be a president. He has no background in foreign policy. He don't even understand domestic policy. He's a dumbass. I don't know why the American people would ever vote, and I'm ashamed of him, like you said. I'm ashamed of him, too. Now, I said I'd move on, but I'm not accepting the asshole. He's a big fucking asshole.
Thank you.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Thank you.
It makes you mad when these people, it'll be all right. It's going to be fine. Bullshit. It's going to be fucked up. We're going to have to play cleanup for the next fucking 30 years.
Exactly.
Clean this up. It is going to take a long time.
If we're lucky, we're going to play cleanup.
If he gets in for the second term, oh, my God.
We're finished.
Look out.
Yeah, we're finished. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it is depressing. It is very depressing, but I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not accepting the guy. Now, I said I'd move on the other day, but people are nuts if they're not obsessed with this. This is going to change your way of life, whether you think not, unless you're one of these ones that got all kind of money and sit back and just, watch the train wreck is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I can't believe people would even say something like that.
Well, they do, because they want
that, to me,
they want to get on with their happy little lives.
Yeah, because that's not going to be it. It's going to affect you some way. You're going to feel the pain.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Some George Bush on steroids, big time. Hell, we might even get into a nuke war. I mean, that's how stupid. This guy's going to get mad. Putin's going to do something, blow up one of our planes or something, and he's going to want to retaliate. I could just see it. He's German.
Well, I don't know. Both as General Flynn and Trump like Putin.
Oh, yeah?
They both like him. Well, and in fact, Flynn was at an event where he sat at the same table with Putin because he took on a job with a Russian-backed media outlet. You can't make this up.
No.
Okay, thank you. I found the
Good
tweet.
Weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, bye.
I found the tweet I wanted. This is something from the Jerusalem Post. The former general, Republican presidential nominee, this is a few months ago, Donald Trump considered for his running mate, and who last week delivered a primetime speech to the Republican National Convention, was responding to accusations by the Clinton campaign that Russia was behind a hack of the Democratic National Committee, which we know to be true, right? The Russians hacked the DNC. Flynn wrote this, quote, "The corrupt Democratic machine will do and say anything to get Clinton elected." So he's denying the Russians were behind it. "This is a new low," said the general. And then he said this. I don't even understand it. "Not anymore, Jews. Not anymore." What does that even mean? What does that even mean? He later apologized, and he called it a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's not a mistake. That is a clear statement of your anti-Semitism. Not anymore, Jews. Not anymore. Wow. So, here's something from Scott. He said, "I just heard someone say this. We are in Whoville now. When the Grinch looks down the mountain at us, I want that motherfucker to hear us singing." Okay. New York Times editorial. Oh, I gotta do Dr. Stiles. I gotta do me a Dr. Stiles spot. I'm sorry. I got so worked up. You know, the good news is when you struggle with things in your life, there usually is help to be had. I'm not talking politics here. We struggle, all of us, with stuff. And there can be help. And I know even at our lowest points, and I'm speaking as somebody who felt that when I couldn't stop smoking. I knew it was injurious, not only to my health, but to my career, because I was losing my voice and I was just starting my television career. I was desperate. And I did something I never thought in a million years I would do. I went to a hypnotist. I thought, what do I, might as well. I was just grabbing at straws. I went in a chain smoker, eat more than 2 packs a day. Sometimes I had 2 cigarettes going at once. I did. I'd light one and then realize I already had one. I was just a walking chimney. And this hypnotist says to me, after I'd been relaxed and put into this sort of deep relaxation, where you're vulnerable to suggestion, she suggested, among many things, that I would look at a cigarette and say, who would want? It would be like, I don't smoke. And do you know that's exactly what happened? I walked out of there a non-smoker, cold turkey, no problem. No problem whatsoever. It's like magic. Only it's not. And Dr. Bill Stiles knows it's not magic. It's art. And he knows how to be an artist. He knows how to put thoughts in your relaxed mind that you want there, that then you can find them again. They become part of you, rather than those awful voices that had been in your head saying, where's my cigarette? I need a cigarette. I used to think I couldn't write a story when I was in the newsroom. I couldn't write a story if I didn't first light a cigarette. I couldn't do a million things unless I first lit a cigarette. It's not true. He reprogrammed my head. That's what Dr. Stiles does. So, and he is so good at it. He's not the one I went to for smoking. So I have been to a number of different hypnotists. I know good ones, and I have been to bad ones. Stiles is right up there. If he'd been where I was when I was a 2.5 pack a day smoker, he would have stopped me like that too. So, there's a million things that hypnosis can help for. A million things. But I know in terms of life-threatening stuff, weight and smoking are ones that are so hard for people to get a handle on. And both those show incredible success through hypnosis. Okay? That's all that's all I'm telling you. I'm just trying to educate you. And let me give you a phone number for Dr. Bill Stiles, a master hypnotist. You got something to write down? And you got to call right away because he winters somewhere else. So get in unless you want to wait till the spring, and why would you? 724-656-0454. I'm going to do it one more time. 724-656-0454. Do it. Oh, shit. Now I don't have time for this. Let me do it real fast. New York Times headline, editorial, 1942 all over again. Uh-oh. It says, this is how it starts. On Wednesday evening, Carl Higbee, a prominent surrogate of President-elect Donald Trump, appeared on Megyn Kelly's Fox News program to defend the idea of a national registry of all Muslims, an idea Mr. Trump floated repeatedly during his campaign. To defend the legality of a registry, Mr. Higbee pointed to the imprisonment of more than 110,000 Americans of Japanese descent following Pearl Harbor. Now, guys, we have a Bill of Rights that was specifically written by our founders to protect people against government abuse of power like what happened in 1942. And our government failed us then, because in 1944, the case of the Japanese internment went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, it's okay to lock up Americans. It did, with no charge other than their ethnicity. Justice Hugo Black wrote the opinion, and he later said, get this, in an interview decades later, he said that, quote, people were rightfully fearful of the Japanese because to non-Japanese people, they all look alike. And in an interview with Reuters last Friday, Kansas's Secretary of State Chris Kobach, a hardline anti-immigration advocate and top advisor to Mr. Trump, said that the president-elect was considering reinstating a national registry of immigrants. Pay attention and speak out if you're a patriot. And one more thing. Have a good weekend.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.